Welcome in to Greenville Grit, Greenville residents in touch on 103.7 WTIB. This is the local show that keeps you connected and in touch with the issues that affect what's happening in your community. Greenville Grit is sponsored by Ribeyes, Kid Construction, and Greenville Toyota. Now, here are your hosts for Greenville Grit, Terry Williams and Michael Overton.
Hello and welcome to Greenville Grit. I'm Terry Williams.
I'm Michael Overton, and
I'm Dennis Mitchell.
Dennis, good to see you today. It's been several weeks since you've been on because we've been busy. Terry and I with talking with these candidates and incumbents and getting ready for this one. I'm glad you're on today because we're going to have a very
Is that the story we telling the people? I was fired and now I was allowed to come back.
That's not true.
I have not said the Donald Trump word. But we're going to have a fun show because we got a lot to talk about. And this is the last day, the last show. Early voting starts tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning.
Wow.
And so
6:30 or something like that, maybe 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's go ahead and thank the sponsors so we can get into this show. So thank you so much, Greenville Toyota, for your continued support. If you're looking for a new Toyota or Scion or a new used car, go see Craig Gillis and the Greenville Toyota team. Catch them on the web at greenvilletoyota.com or in person across from Fresh Market on Memorial Drive, or call them up at 321-3000. Got the Overton Group Real Estate Professionals serving all of Eastern North Carolina in business brokerage, commercial leasing, and sales and property management. And then we also have Ribeyes Steakhouse.
Oh, yeah.
Looking for a great atmosphere, great steak, salad bar, and just a cool place to eat with your family. Please support them. They're at the corner of Arlington and Fire Tower in Greenville, as well as a location in Williamston. So we're going to do one break today. We're going to take our first commercial break. Then we'll come back, and we've got a lot to talk about. So be back in 2. Welcome back to the Greenville Grit. I'm Michael Overton, along with my co-hosts. We have Terry Williams and Dennis Mitchell on here today. And this is the last show before municipal election. Early voting starts tomorrow. And so, I don't know, we can kind of start. Dennis, I think you've watched most of the shows we've had, and we can talk about the candidates, all of them. We can kind of go through each district if you want to, and then we talk a little bit about the bond. That's another big thing that's going to be on there, and maybe get our thoughts of where we are on that. So let's start with District 1. Dennis?
I mean, I'm biased, of course. Kenny's my friend. Kenny's going to win. I mean, the other lady, I can see her getting involved, maybe in some boards and stuff, and maybe over time getting ready to be in city council. I like her interest in the race. They've been very civil, so I don't think there's no bad blood. Maybe Kenny can become a mentor to her, but at this time, I don't think she's ready for city council yet. Not against somebody like Candy.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, when I watch, and I do watch the city council meetings, and
you have got to get a life.
I know, but I like to watch it. I like to see what's going on. I watch them. Anyway, I like it when Candy, anything she presents, you can fully understand, number one, her position and the facts. And I like that about her. And I feel like she has done a good job. She's everywhere, sort of like our mayor is everywhere, but she is involved and attends things and is involved in the community and really listens to her constituency.
But it's not just her district either. And I'll say that about Candy. I mean, I've had talks with her about things across town because she is, I think, of all of the people up there, I mean, her and Rose has shown the same understanding of economic development. They get the importance of bringing jobs to the community and what it does for the community. So
I think they're just very sincere about what they feel like they are trying to do to help the constituency.
Well, in Patrice, we had a very nice lady, but I don't think she was prepared, at least not for the interview. She wasn't prepared.
She could not
for the interview,
really address the issues.
I don't think she understood the issues.
Right.
And I know that she repeatedly talked about safety and policing, and of course that's, I think, important on everyone's agenda, but Greenville is a lot more than just, we have a lot more needs than just that. That is a huge need, but we have a lot more needs.
That's
Dennis,
right.
you got anything else to say about District 1?
I mean, you got to think about it. I mean, Candy has almost been like the saving grace of city council. I mean, she really hammered the fact that we had extra money in the vehicle replacement fund, which really led to
and she's the one that pushed back the tax decrease.
Push back the tax decrease. So she's really been the voice of reason that hasn't allowed the city council to go too far off the deep end, although they went off the deep end, but she saved them from going too far financially.
Well,
that's right.
Okay.
I'm the same with Rose. We can talk about Rose.
Yeah, District 2 is she is unopposed, Rose Glover, but she's still out there working hard, and I don't think anyone that knows Rose and has dealt with her cannot say that she is definitely for her district, but she's also for the city and has been a big supporter of moving things forward. I know when Max Joyner was on the council, she and Max would have fun spars back and forth, but they generally agreed on the best things to move the city forward.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, her and Max were a perfect example of how two people who probably have different views can work together.
Right.
But like you said, Rose is for her district. I mean, she serves her purpose for her district, and she really is a fighter for them.
I agree with that.
So we've got District 3. I have noticed a ton of signs from McLean Godley in the on the 5th Street area, and I know that is an area he lives in, has been working hard in.
That's right.
The incumbent there is Marion
Blackburn.
I know Marion Blackburn. I'm sorry, Marion, if you're listening. Marion Blackburn is the incumbent. She's been in there for, I think this will be her 4th term if she does get in. McLean is an independent registered. I know we don't get into how the parties are running here.
Well, it's supposed to be nonpartisan.
But it's supposed to be. Yeah, right. But he's been working hard, and he's gotten very involved in the last year or so in city. I think he's chairman of the Historic Commission down there, and that he really fed the fight to get the disc golf deal set up. So,
and I don't think people realize that the whole idea of this big conversation about this Tar River Park, it started with McLean Godley's effort for the disc golf park. So I mean, now we have this huge piece that now become a part of the Tar River Legacy Plan with Tar River Park. So I think that's important. And also I've seen a couple of things. I mean, he is really getting the student population in that area very involved in that community. There was something this weekend where they partnered with Parks and Recs to redo the orchard down there near the park. And there was the public art and all these things going on, the weekly or the monthly street cleanups and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's really exciting to see what he has been able
and McLean has been
to get people together
in front of a lot of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he has.
He's working hard. So, I mean, I was a little skeptical at first, student running, but I think he's putting a lot of hard work, and people might be surprised on Election Day.
Well, I think he'd be an example, too. Now, he also is he not in the insurance business or something like that? So would he not be an example of people graduating and staying? And which is what we want.
He's not a student
anymore. He's graduated, and he's wanted to stay and become a part of our community. So I think that's important, and that's something that he's pushing by engaging the students, in knowing what's going on around them and participating and voting. So
we had Marion on here.
We did.
And we discussed with her, had a good conversation with her. Your thoughts there?
Well, it was a good discussion, but I really feel like in this instance that, like I said, I think McLean can really attract what we're trying to do, which is to keep our younger population staying in Greenville. So I'm just pleased with all that he has brought to the table. She is. I can't really put my finger on a number of the council members exactly what they've accomplished. We did ask her what did she feel like was the biggest accomplishments, and I can't remember exactly what she said. Maybe you will, but there wasn't a defining moment of what, which brings me to the discussion of, and Dennis may or may not agree with this, but it seems like to me a lot of things that have come to fruition this year and last year were really put in place before this last election came about, and now we're reaping the benefits of things that were already put into place. Now, I'm concerned with what's going to be coming forward.
You have a 2-year
We're
lag.
going to have a delay because there is no economic development. I'm sure there are things out there that are going on, and they would argue with us about that, but we don't have a director directing us into the direction of more economic development, and I'm concerned about that. So I think we will have a lull, and I didn't really feel like she could actually answer, that question. So,
Dennis?
Well, I applied for that position.
And you served. But you also, well, you've got two things there. You did serve with Marion for 2 years. You've been able to kind of step back the last 2 after serving and see what she and the block have done. But also, you are also passionate about economic development because you're the one that started that department or made the motion to start that department.
Absolutely. I mean, and this is not. I mean, just a different council. I mean, I consider this as a caretaker council that really is being ran off the city manager vision as opposed to what it was 2 years ago when me and Alan and the group was up there. It was ran off our vision. So they really have. I mean, that's why they like to say, I don't take credit for it. The whole council did it and things like that because really this group has not made any initiative to move anything forward. Everything has been either a reaction to something or something that came from the city manager's office. So it's just a different style of leadership. Marion represents her issues in her group very vigorously. I mean, if you're for greenways, dogs, animal welfare,
cats,
her neighborhood, then you have no better representative. But we talked about this when we started having the discussion last year about the area, that it's mostly younger professionals in that area, and their views haven't been really cared for. And I think that's what McLean Gully is going to bring in here, really represent the entire district as opposed to one monolithic group that's been very loud and controlling over the last couple of years.
I agree with that.
All right. That's good on that. So discussion of District number 4. Now, this one has been fun to watch. We've got Jack 1919, a.k.a. Terry Boardman. There was a very funny article in the paper. At least I thought it was funny.
Oh, he's been that, though.
We've had
Everybody
a complaint in the paper, and I think he called it a bunch of political malarkey.
Yeah, he did.
And for those who are not familiar with this, I guess there was a complaint filed with the State Elections Board over pseudonyms being used on the Daily Reflector's website, and the person making the complaint was saying that they were hiding behind it. And Terry, frankly, I say very wisely, said, "Hey, everybody knows I'm Jack 1919, and no one can say that they're talking negatively about candidates because." Frankly, Terry's talked negatively about every single person in town,
including myself.
That's right. That's right.
Probably including us.
Right.
So hey, it goes around fairly. That's the thing. But that's the thing I do respect about Terry. He doesn't owe anyone anything, and no one owes him anything. And he's going to run. If he wins this thing, he's going to be his own man.
And he will stand on his own. And that's what I think we're missing and why we have this 4-2 block. Because we don't have people who will stand on their own and voice their own opinions and back it up with facts. That's the difference, too. To me, I don't think anybody has been able to come against the facts that he's presented about the budget and our financial position.
Some of his facts have not been accurate. And I'm going to disagree with him on Greenville Utilities vehemently because the last thing I want to see is the Greenville City Council, especially the way it's been in the last few years, running an operation as large as Greenville Utilities. I think that will be a disaster. But with that being said, a lot of the numbers and stuff that he has put forward, saying, well, the city has this much money and this and that, no one is disputing what he's saying.
That's right.
And so I know he's against the bond proposal. We'll talk about that. But what are your thoughts on Terry?
I mean, I won't speak to the Greenville Utilities things because, I respect the way we've been ran, and board members tend not to comment. That usually is flourished through the director, so I'll leave that alone. But as far as the Greenville City Council stuff he said about Greenville City Council, as quiet as kept, he's been 90% right. I mean, and that has been admitted to me by some upper management level people in the city council, and they've been slowly fixing those things. So Terry Boardman has brought in a lot of, I guess, oversight to the city's financial and caused them to make some changes.
Right.
So, I mean, he might says it a little harsh. It might be straightforward.
Straightforward. That's a good way to put it.
Shotgun approach. But I think he's a voice that may be needed and may get some of our financial situations under control in the city.
But it wouldn't be bad. I mean, he is one that has so strongly advocated for a finance commission. And I'm going to have to agree with him.
I agree with him, too. I think that it would support more accountability. And in my talking with the public and just kind of interviewing on my own or even receiving calls from different voters, they're really leaning toward him. They like the fact that somebody's going to be watching out in greater depth from the exact council and not just depending on the city's departments to do it, but because they like the accountability.
I think it's going to be a very close race because living in District 4, Rick Smiley is starting to connect with some people.
Right.
As far as because he's going to a lot of neighborhood association meetings and everything like that. But I think there's a segment of the population that is going to be awakened in that district by Terry Boardman because we remember Ray Kraft carried that district for a very long time. I think that segment got kind of quiet over years, but I think Terry's been getting a lot of free press from that newspaper.
Right.
I mean, I think it's going to be of his benefit. This is going to be a very, very interesting race, and it might control the balance of the city council.
Yeah, I agree with
District
that.
4.
Well, I think we're seeing when you're talking with the public about, and it's going to be important that they do vote and stand behind what they're talking about, but I think we're seeing this across the country. I think we're finally seeing the same thing happen in Greenville.
Thing too,
That's exactly right. We're seeing that in Greenville that we're seeing across the country, and I think it's going to be reflected in our local election.
I mean, so how about the job Smiley's done over the last 2 years?
I mean, he's just part of the same council. I mean, they react. So I can't really comment on the job. I was a different type of council person. Max Joyner was. Alan Thomas, a different type of mayor. I mean, we came up there with an agenda. We said these are the things we want to do, and we pushed those things through. This group, we know, did not come with agenda, and it's showing they're just reacting. So I mean, it's not, they haven't really done anything besides, like we said, raise taxes and raise fees and things like that, but just pretty much react to things and not really want to look at the other side. I mean, if they really listened to the mayor on the whole budget situation, we wouldn't have been in none of this mess. If they really took a healthy look at it, but they were so bent on saying the way we did was wrong, they didn't take a good look at it, and they haphazardly raised taxes and had to go back and
3 times,
and go back and bring it back down. So just a different group. I mean, I'm more leaning towards people who are about action and getting things done, who come with an agenda and push it through, than people who just going to sit up there and hold the seat. So,
well, one of the things that Rick mentioned in his interview with the Reflector was about retaining staff. But I think that they, and this was brought out in the debate yesterday by Alan, that the council doesn't do the hiring, doesn't do the firing. The city manager does that, except for the council hires the city manager, correct?
Yeah, but
that's their only thing. Now, how are you going to retain this, what we consider highly well-trained staff that we've had in Greenville, where you're going to either have to pay them more? I mean, there's competition out there. You're going to have to do something to retain them. They're going to be leaving for the betterment of their families, having many times nothing to do with the current their current situation or job in Greenville. But look, Carl's an example of us losing Carl, so to speak, although we still get to retain, some of his advice, obviously. But you could not blame him for wanting to move up to that job with Electricities. That was...
And the whole argument to me is out the window now. I mean...
I agree.
You're saying that we lost all these people, the police chief left and then wrote a letter endorsing the mayor.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and they point to a couple people that left when we first took over city council, but the same amount of people
look at
left.
That police chief, no offense,
exactly.
But he's already been run out of the other town he was in.
But look at the same amount of people have left under Calvin's watch.
Exactly.
You lost economic development.
Right.
You lost
That's
the
an old
assistant city
argument.
manager.
It's not,
you lost the public information officer. You lost the park superintendent. You lost your police chief. You lost over and over all these people. And like you said, they leave them for green pastures. I mean, the assistant city manager is at GUC as the chief.
Well, we got to keep rolling to the next one, guys. It's amazing how fast this is going. District 5, P.J. Conley versus Rick Crosscree. Crosscree is the incumbent. Let's talk about Crosscree first. He's been on. This is his first term. I think the one thing he said, and I have a lot of respect for him as a person. I ran against him, a great race, and I think he's a great doctor and has a lot of respect. But I think this goes back to the mentality that we don't agree, well, at least I don't agree with. And Terry, I think you align with me on this,
right.
That I asked him the specific question of what do we need to do to bring more jobs to the community, and his first response, and I think it's almost verbatim, was we need to build more parks.
Yes.
And
Marion actually agrees with that.
Well, so did Donna Whitley.
So did Donna Whitley.
How is that the first thing that comes out your mouth?
I do not understand that.
We need more jobs. We need better
but we need more
income.
parks to get the jobs. The only jobs that more parks are going to create initially are going to be maintenance jobs for the city of Greenville.
And they're going to increase your budget because you're not going to have the money to fund the maintenance on those parks.
So, again, but that goes back to not quite. Now, we can talk about quality of life. Quality of life is extremely important. We all want to live in a city with a high quality of life.
It's a piece of economic development.
But it is a piece of
right.
it. And as a result of strong economic development, you have the funds to invest in those things.
You got to have a high tax base that provide quality of life.
I would like to see,
Conley,
wait a minute. I would like to see a list of the businesses that have called this city or talked to anybody and said, I'm thinking about opening, I want to know what kind of park you have. That is not what they're going to be asking about. They're going to want to know, if I bring my industry, what kind of tax incentive am I going to get? What kind of buildings do you have that are ready for us to move into? Those are the first questions they're going to ask. Not that they're not going to look at the other things. They're going to want to know, what is our crime rate and what does your education system look like? Those are going to be their foremost. Then they're going to say, hey, you've got a really nice place down there. It looks like you all are working on your greenways. That's going to be an afterthought. It's not.
I'm not saying it's not important.
It's important.
It is.
But it is not why they come here.
And this goes to theory.
And a trained workforce.
Theory versus reality. In theory, and this is what you learn in school, when you read a book and you don't have the experience, so you read the book, and the book says all things equal, they're going to choose maybe the city with the better quality of life over the other. But the reality is all things are not equal. And every city is competing for these jobs.
That's
and
right.
you've got to have incentive packages and strong leadership with vision to bring these companies here.
The quality
we got to hurry
life,
up. District 5.
Yeah, wait. The quality of life is going to be as important. What kind of medical do you have? What kind of education opportunities? What kind of work training? those are your quality of life, too. It's just not about a park.
Cross Creek has been a very big disappointment to me on the city council.
Me, too.
Well, okay. Let's talk about his challenger, P.J. Conley.
Didn't know a lot about P.J. Conley at first, but one thing I'm noticing, he is out there working very hard to win a district race. It doesn't take a lot of money. If you knock on doors, you will win. And he's been knocking on a lot of doors.
Almost 2,000 doors.
That's going to be a very interesting race. That's one thing I couldn't do. I did not like him.
I sure didn't either.
Well, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Not that, and it's important, and he's done it. He has done it.
Well, he's done what you call the grassroots
That's
side.
Right.
And I know PJ. He's my next door neighbor.
Right.
And I've known him for several years. He's a good friend of mine. Yes, I'm endorsing him because he's a friend of mine.
Right.
But I also like him because he's a fiscal conservative.
Right.
He understands economic development. He's got a small business. He's got people that work for him. He makes payroll. And even out of all of the people up there, he's still going to be one of the only candidates that actually has a payroll that he's got to make.
And he is on planning and zoning, so he has
been
involved.
And zoning, so he's been involved. Mm-hmm. All right, at large, we got 5 minutes left. We got to finish the last two. We're running out of time.
We're not going to have time to talk about bond.
All right, look, Calvin Mercer. Gave an interview. Now, one thing he wanted us to ask him about was 12 tax increases. You didn't ask me about tax increases.
Yeah, no, we didn't.
Well, the reality is they increased taxes and fees 12 times over 2 years.
2 of them are yet to come. Been passed, but will take place in 2016.
But now they're saying that you're paying less taxes. Well, I think that's a twist of words because you had a lower evaluation of properties by the county a few years ago when they did property valuations.
Right. That's right.
But that is going to change in January when property values start going back up some.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, Calvin voted against that budget. When we lowered taxes, when we decided to not go revenue neutral, he voted against that budget. I mean, Calvin is about himself. I mean, he's bringing nothing to the table. He has his 4-2. We thought we was going to have some glorious whatever his agenda was enacted, and he did nothing. I mean, Calvin really does not speak at a city council meeting. He rarely makes a motion about anything. He's just sitting there. Why do we want that type of leadership in our city? We're ready to move forward.
Eric Anderson.
He's the opponent, and he's the alternative. You don't want to vote against Calvin.
Okay, and I'm not.
I don't really know Eric that well, but he was interviewed on our show like everyone else.
The same thing as Patrice Barry. He did not know the issues.
He didn't know the issues at that time. I understand that they have a debate tonight. Might be very interesting for those who can attend. And it's at the Epicenter too.
But you got to vote for him. He's a Marine. He's a former Marine.
That's so right.
Why not?
That's right.
Right.
Okay. Well, let's go to the mayor. We have 3 people in that race. We have Mayor Alan Thomas, who is this will be his 3rd term. And Reeves and Whitley. So we had Whitley last week. Let's talk about her. Longtime Greenville resident. I don't think there's any doubt she cares about the community.
I think she cares about the community, but it bothers me that all of a sudden she wants to be our mayor. But I don't know that she's been involved strictly, in the city or any commissions or any committees for quite some time, maybe over 20 years or so. I mean, I think that she knows the issues, but she is stuck on the same quality of life. That's all she seems to bring. I saw the debate yesterday. She was asked, how do we retain jobs? How do we, deal with the budget? She did not answer the questions. She did put some jabs and stabs at Alan, which was fine, but I wanted to hear what she stood for and how she planned to get something done. I didn't hear that yesterday.
I think she's a nice person. If she was coming out there with her own issues and agenda, she might worth a second look from me. But she's spitting out the same Calvin Mercer talking points, and that's scary. We need people that's going to be able of their own mindset and come up with new ideas to bring the city forward. We don't need to go through another 2 years of a caretaker city council.
And how about Mr. Reeves?
I think he's very energetic, and he's one of those people that over time, if he gets involved more, that's why I like to see candidates like P.J. Conley and them gets involved on boards and commissions so they can get a grasp of the issue. So I think over time, if he pays attention, he can probably be a candidate in the future for another district race.
And I think there is another person running if we're at large, and we forgot to mention her. Is it Angela?
Angela Shackelford? She hasn't showed up to anything or made a comment.
So we can't say much. All right, we got a minute and a half left. Bond, big thing on there. Dennis, you voting for it or against it?
I mean, I don't know. Everybody else is flip-flopping on the issue.
Well, I'll start.
Yeah, you start.
I'm voting against it. And here's why. They did not listen to their own advisory committee. I believe that they do have the funds. They've yet to dispute what Terry Boardman has had to say about how much money the city has. And I think for them, we put forth a bond of needs. They put forth a bond of wants. And they blew it up by 50%. Higher.
The bad thing about this, the city, I think, is doing a injustice by telling people that 9 times out of 10 that taxes are not going to be raised. They should not be telling people that.
Right, because we really don't know.
Really
Here's
don't.
the thing that I say.
Yeah, 50
sidewalks are on this, and I know that we need sidewalks. I think we need them.
No, that
but
was
they
on
already
the
that was already on ours. They already get some funding for sidewalks. That was going to happen anyway. 10th Street connector is going to happen if the bond doesn't pass.
Terry,
still got
for
to
or
pass.
against?
I'm against.
Against Dennis? We're not getting a word out of Dennis. Dennis?
I don't know.
You don't know yet, and that's how hard it is.
I was
but I think
against
everyone's
it. It is
flipping.
hard,
but everybody's flipping. I was against it.
No, but I'm hearing more people now that are against it, so it's going to be interesting.
We'll
and the
talk
Daily
about-
Reflector poll had it against.
Yeah, we'll talk
more
about the
people
bond a
against
little
than
more
for.
next week because
Okay,
we need
well,
to.
that's the show. We've been telling to wrap up. So thank you for joining in. We'll be on Talk of the Town tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Terry and I, and what time?
7:40.
7:40 to talk about this.
I'm calling in.
We're going to talk about the bond in the morning.
Thank you for joining in for Greenville Toyota, Ribeyes, and the Overton Group. And catch us again on Friday night, Saturday morning, 9:30 on Cable 7. Until then, we'll see you next week.